The transport ship, Celestial Drift, hummed through the void between star systems, carrying its unusual cargo of refugees from the recently evacuated colony on Theta 7. Among the passengers sat Mira Chen, a human xenobiologist who had spent the last 3 years studying the indigenous fauna of the doomed world before the star's radiation surges forced total evacuation. She sat in the observation deck, datapad forgotten in her lap, watching the younger passengers with barely concealed amusement. 2 Korathi cubs, no more than 5 standard years old, were attempting what they clearly believed was a masterful game of hide-and-seek with their frazzled parent. The problem was immediately apparent to anyone with functioning eyes. Their long, striped tails protruded from behind Mira's chair, twitching with barely suppressed excitement. The Korathi were apex predators on their homeworld, all fangs and claws and hunting instinct bred over millions of years of evolution. Adults stood nearly 8 feet tall, with dense muscle beneath fur that could shift colors for camouflage. They were formidable, feared across a dozen systems as mercenaries and warriors. The Galactic Council had debated for years whether to grant them membership, worried about their predatory nature. But these cubs? These cubs had fluffy tails that betrayed every emotion, oversized paws they hadn't grown into, and the absolute certainty that hiding behind the small human made them completely invisible. "Korin," Mira called out to the parent, who was making an elaborate show of searching the observation deck. "I believe you've lost something." The adult Korathi, a battle-scarred veteran named Korin, who served as the colony's security chief, played along with exaggerated confusion. "My cubs?" "Vanished. Disappeared into thin air. Such skilled hunters they have become." Behind Mira's chair, 2 tails wagged with pride. She felt tiny claws grip her shoulders as the cubs pressed closer, certain their ruse remained undetected. Their whiskers tickled the back of her neck. This was the part that amused Mira most. The Korathi were taught from birth that humans were soft, weak, prey species that had somehow stumbled into space through blind luck and stubborn refusal to die. No natural weapons, no armor, no venom or enhanced senses, just clever hands and an inexplicable tendency to survive things that should kill them. What the Galactic Council's reports failed to capture, what statistics and combat records couldn't quantify, was why every Korathi cub in the colony had adopted Mira as their favorite hiding spot. Not their parents, not the Vriex merchants with their convenient cargo containers, not the Thessian diplomats with their elaborate robes, always the human. "Perhaps they were taken by the ghost of Deck 7, Mira suggested, fighting to keep her voice serious, as tiny claws kneaded her shoulders like an overgrown cat. "I hear it. Steals small cubs, who don't finish their protein paste." Twin gasps of delighted horror emerged from behind her chair. The tails went rigid. Korin's eyes, all 3 of them, gleamed with amusement. The Korathi could see in spectrums humans couldn't, could hear heartbeats from across a room, could smell fear in the air. Korin knew exactly where the cubs were. But like Mira, the parent understood something the Galactic Council's xenopsychologists were still struggling to document. Human pack bonding wasn't a weakness. It was a superweapon. On Theta 7, Mira had been the first to notice when young Keswick, one of the cubs currently breathing nervously against her neck, had wandered into a nest of plasma serpents. She'd charged in without hesitation, armed with nothing but a specimen container and absolutely no survival instinct, scooping up the cub while the serpent's parent coiled to strike. She'd been hospitalized for 3 days with severe burns. Keswick's parents had offered her a blood oath of protection, the highest honor in Korathi culture. Mira had asked if they'd like to come over for dinner instead. That had been the beginning. Word spread through the colony's Korathi population. The human was pack, not prey, not ally, not even friend, in the way other species understood it. Pack, family, someone who would throw herself into plasma fire for cubs that weren't even her species. The cubs started following her everywhere, sitting outside her lab, bringing her gifts of half-chewed protein bars, hiding behind her legs during station drills, tails wagging, absolutely certain that Mira would protect them from anything. They weren't wrong. Well, Corin announced dramatically, prowling around the observation deck. If I cannot find my cubs, I suppose I shall have to eat this entire container of frostberries myself. The parent produced a sealed container of the cub's favorite treat from a cargo pocket. The effect was instantaneous. Two small Korathi exploded from behind Mira's chair with shrieks of, "No fair!" and "We're here!" They bounded toward their parent, tails streaming behind them like striped banners. Corin caught them mid-leap, all three tumbling into a purring pile of fur and laughter. "Ah, there you are. How did you become so skilled at hiding?" "Mira helped," Keswick announced proudly. "Humans are the best for hiding. They're small and warm, and they smell like safety." Mira felt her throat tighten. Smell like safety. She'd spent 3 years studying how Korathi cubs learned to hunt, how they developed their predatory instincts, how their society shaped them into the warriors the galaxy feared. She'd never expected to learn that to them, she smelled like safety. Corin met her eyes over the cubs' heads. There was something ancient in that gaze, something that transcended species, recognition, respect, a warrior acknowledging another warrior, even if that warrior's only weapons were a soft voice and an irrational willingness to adopt anything with a pulse. "The other species fear what they don't understand," Corin said quietly, while the cubs devoured their frostberries. "They see humans and think, prey. They see persistence hunters who never evolved, proper claws. They don't understand that humans domesticated themselves, turned apex predators into companions, turned rivals into family." Mira smiled. "We just like adopting things. You adopt the galaxy," Corin corrected. "And then you defend it with everything you have. That's not weakness, Mira Chen. That's why my cubs hide behind you, not because you're small or safe. Because they know, in their bones, in their instincts, that you're the most dangerous thing in any room." "Me?" Mira laughed. "I'm a xenobiologist with chronic anxiety." "You're a human," Corin replied simply. "You'll fight plasma serpents bare-handed for cubs that aren't yours. You'll throw yourself between any danger and those you've claimed as pack. The cubs don't hide behind you because you're weak. They hide behind you because you're the thing even predators learn to fear." The cubs finished their treats and immediately scrambled back to Mira, climbing into her lap despite being almost too large, purring like small engines. Their tails wrapped around her arms, finally still, finally content. Mira looked down at two apex predators in training who had decided she was their favorite fortress, and smiled. The galaxy could keep its claws and fangs and armor. Humanity had something better: the ability to make even predators feel like cubs worth protecting. And maybe, just maybe, that was the most human thing of all.